This table talk is made possible by Mental Health Matters, a newsletter from themighty.com. I'm Jess, and today I'm joined by,
I'm Ashley.
I'm Sky.
and we're talking about aspirational content and our mental and physical health. Or as I've jokingly been referring to this idea, 5 a.m. More like 10 a.m. So I don't know about y'all, but my feeds are full of aspirational content, especially because it's January. So I'm seeing all these like 5 to 8 before my 8 to 5 and the 5 a.m. get up and go videos and like all these social media posts about the best things to include in your morning ritual and your afternoon ritual and your evening ritual. And there's just all these things that if you're listening to all of them and you're reading all of them and there's like, if you were to list it all out, it's probably like 100 and some tasks a day, right? Or things a day if you were going to do them all. And it's just a lot. I can sometimes be a little structured in my thinking. Like if I want to do something, it has to be done in ABC way, XYZ way. And that's kind of historically how I've approached a lot of this. If I'm going to do what that person's doing, well, I have to do it the way they do it. Or if I want to do whatever new routine or ritual or whatever, like I have to do it in the right way. And that has not been so great for me. But at the same time, I know there are some things that I do want to do more frequently and some new habits I do want to have. So that's where I'm kind of living right now, is this like balance or trying to find the balance between aspirational content and what works for me. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I think it's so just on the point of like the reason that I actually find aspirational content kind of annoying rather than inspiring is because it's really presented as a one size fits all solution to your life, I guess is the best way to put it, to whatever problems you are having. It's a solution, it's the solution, when it's not at all like that. There are definitely like nuggets you can pull from it. And so I do get annoyed when things do work that are from that, but seldom do they work the way that someone has presented them to me. And so it's it's more of an annoyance, and like I get frustrated when it comes across my feed most of the time, even if it is helpful, just because of that kind of mentality and that societal pressure almost to do it that correct way, quote unquote.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I really love those videos. I don't find them irritating, even though I feel like I should. But I really resonate with what you said, Jess, and Ashley touched on this too, that like how you do it needs to be perfect. And I just think of that because we're talking about TikTok. I'm like, perfect, perfect, perfect. Anyway. um, but yeah, and that perfection though, or like that desire to be perfect and like do that perfect routine, that way I'll feel 100% fantastic. Like that gets in the way of me even taking a small part of what I see in those videos. Like right now I'm trying to read all these different books and I'm like, well, I should read them in the morning, but if I'm not in the perfect headspace, which I never am, or I'm not in the, perfect setting or whatever, I'm like, well, I can't do it at all. Very all or nothing thinking. But I am currently in that space of like trying not to seek these videos and content out anymore, because I have a tendency, like I'm always trying to look for ways to like quote unquote optimize myself and everything I do. Like I still want to be a perfect and productive person, even though there are like a million things wrong with that statement. But like I've done the KonMari, I've done the Bujo, I use a planner, I have all these like fancy acrylic pen holders that take up a lot of space. But I'm still a person with anxiety and depression and chronic illnesses. Even this week, I've been waking up much earlier than I usually do. But I'm like, okay, now's my chance to be a hashtag girl boss. Like, but I end up, it doesn't work for me. Like, I'm not able to emulate what I see on the screen again because I want that like perfection. But in reality, I'm also like, I'm not gonna get right out of bed and like start working out or read a whole novel or come up with my 5-year plan all before working full time. And in part, it's because, yeah, like my real life is that like, oh, I'm too tired and achy to work out first thing in the morning. So I guess it's a long way to say I've just been struggling with finding, yeah, like those pieces that work for me, or like what do I like about those videos and how can I realistically take their advice.
Yeah. I think that's like the extra layer of nuance for all of us is that we're all living with health conditions. And I know for me, like mine changes from day to day. And so yeah, maybe I could do that like 5 to 8 before my 8 to 5 one day, but I might not have a day like that again for another 6 months. And so it's like, how do I find the way to still do the things I want to do? Um, and kind of letting go of some of that perfection or that need for like it to look like it does, any certain way. And how do I just do the things I want to do without that external influence?
I think what you're saying too is that we're really missing all of the nuance when those types of posts and videos come up, in that they're saying this is what it looks like when it's perfect and this is how it can be, but we don't know all of their background that gives them the ability to do things that way, and
Yeah.
vice versa. We don't have, we can't necessarily do it that way because we don't have that background, and also we bring these other things to it as well, and so we're never going to hit their perfect or what their version of perfect is because the circumstances surrounding it are so different. But you feel like a failure when you don't, because it looks so easy and it looks so obtainable, like it's right there. But in reality, we're missing all of that nuance.
Yeah, exactly. And like what are the like healthy ways that you do or don't interact with that content? Like I know Sky, you mentioned like specifically not seeking it out right now. Like what are some ways you found to interact with it in a healthy way for you?
So I actually, long story short, I deleted TikTok. I was bad about checking my messages anyway, but that's actually been really good for me because my entire TikTok feed was like restocking videos and come plan with me and here's my perfect handwriting in my journal. And I'm only realizing like in this very conversation how much that standard that I took from those videos and I tried to compare myself to has been preventing me from actually doing the things I want. And something I've been working on a lot in therapy is combating that all or nothing black and white thinking and being more flexible in my plans. So I think this is probably very personal because I mean, like Ashley was saying, it all depends on who you are, your circumstances, you find what works for you. I think personally, I'm going to try to, if I do, get up early, I think I want to try to make time for my crossword puzzles because those bring me joy first thing in the morning. But also trying to remember that if I don't, that's okay too. And that just gave me an anxiety pang when I said that. So we'll work on being gentle.
Ashley, what about you?
I think for me, I've never been fully like quote unquote influenced by things. And I think that speaks to the start of like, I've always found it kind of annoying to be like given inspiring content. That's just kind of my personality. But even so, there are things that I see or find that I'm interested in doing. But what ends up being really important to me is how I frame it. And so I have to figure out, first of all, like, why do I want to do that thing? Like, I have to do that self reflection first. Like, is this something that I want to do because I saw someone else do it? Or is it something that would actually benefit me in some way? And when I can answer that yes to benefit me, that's when I like will go, okay, but then how do I get there? Because again, that like version that you see in that content usually doesn't work for me. And so I have to just frame it in a way that does. So my best example is like with exercise, I've gotten really consistent with it recently. And that's because I took the framing of this really helps my mental health. This really helps my physical body feel really good and strong. And if my physical appearance at any point comes into play, that's a day I don't exercise. That's a day I don't think about it because I do not want to go in to that habit that is really, really beneficial for me in a way that could be really damaging. So I have to just be really mindful with all of the things that I want to do. Like I have to almost go through a checklist and see if it's worth kind of adding into my day to day or not. So really my like tip there, I guess, would just be figuring out if that thing actually is valuable to you first, and then finding the way that you can actually bring it into your life that makes sense.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying there about movement in particular, because we do have so much societal pressure and stuff we've taken in around that. And just taking that moment to reflect into yourself is that is something I will be sitting with. Thank you. I know for myself, I've been trying to like watch those videos when they come up. I don't seek them out, but when they come up, trying to keep like a perspective of, oh, that's cool, but with like a really hefty dose of skepticism and like knowledge about myself, which is where the whole joke about like 5 a.m. or like 10 a.m. And when I started saying that, I was like, right, because I can do that at 10 a.m. Like I don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do X, Y, and Z. I can do that at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 12 p.m. or whenever. So that's one of the things that I've been doing. And just knowing that I don't have to duplicate it exactly like what I see on the screen or exactly like what someone else is doing or even exactly like what my brain tells me is the perfect way to do it. That's kind of the track I've been taking.
Y'all just blew my mind. That whole, sorry, I like that whole, I can do the things I want. It doesn't have to be at 5 a.m. I don't know why, that just like really hit me today.
I mean, no, when I realized that too, like I was like, what? Wait, like because that's not what we're told. That's not what society tells us. That's not what social media tells us. It's not what any kind of aspirational content tells us. They want us to, like, if you're a writer, they want you to get up at 5 a.m. and spend 2 hours first thing at your desk, right, before you do anything else. And that doesn't work for everybody. And, if you're consuming the kind of content that's on TikTok right now, it's 5 a.m. and drink this and drink that and do this ice roller and this oil and this, that, and this, that. And that's just not possible for everybody and not a good fit for everybody.
Yeah, and something that I always try to remind myself and then share out when I can remind others as well is that much like the rest of the internet is very, very curated. Everything that you see from creators is really curated and like a really like they might have put together, here's my morning routine, and they filmed it over like 7 days so that they had the energy to do that, record it, then put it together and put the label on. This is my day. It's like no, this was like 8 days that you jammed into one video. Like it's very curated. It has its own set of rules when you're watching it online. So just just a good reminder to like kind of keep in your head when like you see people performing something perfectly. There's a lot of things that you don't see behind the scenes that they're doing to make it appear that way.
Yeah, that is definitely something I have to keep front and center in my mind. Because you're right. There is like it would not occur to me to record a morning routine over 8 days and present it as one day, but it definitely does happen. Well, thank y'all for talking about this. I think it's really important, especially this time of year when we're inundated with this content and societal.
Be good to yourself and pick up the routines and aspirations that resonate with you, not the ones that will just make a good story for social media.
That is excellent advice. Thank you, Ashley. If you want more conversations like this, subscribe to Mental Health Matters by going to bit.ly/mhinbox. That's bit.ly/MHINBOX. We'll see you in your inbox.
Bye.
Bye.